Good morning to everyone at today's public hearing of the Vetting Commission established under Law Number 65 of the year 2023 on the external evaluation of judges and candidates for judges of the Supreme Court of Justice. I'm Scott Bales, the chair of the commission, and I declare this session open. The hearing is being conducted under the Commission's Rules of Organization and Functioning as part of the evaluation process. The subject of today's hearing is Ms. Diana Ioniță, a candidate for the position of judge on the Supreme Court of Justice. Ms. Ioniță is a principal judge inspector within the Judicial Inspection, which is a specialized body of the Superior Council of Magistracy. Ms. Ioniță, welcome. I'm joined by
Hello, thank you.
I'm joined by 5 other commission members. To my left is Vice Chair Andre Bevel, and further to the left are International Member Lavle Perling and National Member Yuri Gaskin. To my right is International Member Willem Brouwer and National Member Lillian Ansu. The Commission is also assisted by members of its Secretariat, and you may see also in the room representatives of the media and the public. You will also notice a photographer who will take photographs just at the opening of the hearing. The hearing will be conducted with interpretation between Romanian and English. To allow for accurate interpretation, I ask everyone to speak clearly and slowly. Only one person should speak at a time. The proceedings are also being recorded. The recordings of the Commission's public hearings generally will be available online at the Commission's website, www.vettingmd.eu, within 3 days after the hearing. The closed part of the hearing will not be available on the Commission's website, but will be recorded for and included in the materials of the evaluation file. During the hearing, one or more members of the Commission may ask you questions. We ask you to answer them truthfully and completely. Your answers are important to the Commission in verifying your financial and ethical integrity. At the end of the hearing, you will also be given the opportunity to make a brief closing statement. When we pose questions, we will take into account your privacy and, where required and possible, the privacy of family members and other close persons. We will omit unnecessary details relating to such things as ID numbers, bank account numbers, real estate addresses, and the like. For the protection of privacy, we ask you to do the same. I will start by briefly reviewing the evaluation process for Ms. Ioniță. The Commission began its evaluation on the 15th of February last year by notifying Ms. Ioniță by email and asking her to complete and return an ethics questionnaire and the financial declarations required by Law Number 65. Ms. Ioniță returned the completed declarations and questionnaire on the 23rd of February 2024. As part of evaluating a subject's ethical and financial integrity, the Commission also obtains information from many other sources, such as the National Integrity Authority, the Border Police, other public institutions, financial institutions, and open sources. The Commission assesses the information it obtains for its relevance and reliability. On the 1st of May 2024, the Commission asked Ms. Ioniță to provide additional information by May 7th to clarify certain matters. On May 6th, the subject asked for an extension. She then responded and provided answers and documents by May 15th, 2024. On May 22nd of last year, the Commission asked Ms. Ioniță to provide additional information by May 26th to clarify certain matters. The subject again asked for an extension, but then responded and provided answers on May 29th, 2024. On July 26th of last year, the Commission asked Ms. Ioniță to provide additional information by August 6th to clarify certain matters. On July 29th, 2024, the subject asked for an extension. She then responded and provided answers and documents on August 9th, 2024. On October 1st, 2024, the Commission asked Ms. Ioniță to provide additional information by October 8th to clarify certain matters. The subject responded and provided answers and documents on the 10th of October, 2024. On January 24th, 2025, we notified Ms. Ioniță that the Commission, in its investigation, had identified some areas of doubt about her compliance with the financial criteria, and also invited her to attend today's hearing. On January 27th, 2025, Ms. Ioniță sent the Commission the request for access to the evaluation materials, and on January 29th, 2025, she requested that the hearing be held partially in closed session. The Secretariat provided access to the evaluation materials, and on the 3rd of February 2025, the Commission sent to Ms. Ioniță its decision partially allowing her request for closed hearings. Ms. Ioniță, do you wish to make any corrections or additions to the answers you've previously provided to the Commission in its request for information?
Thank you. No, nothing to correct.
Thank you. Are the answers to the ethics questionnaire that you returned on the 23rd of February 2024 still accurate as of today?
Yes.
As you know, the hearing notice identified some areas of doubt related to inexplicable wealth and the possible non-payment of taxes. The Commission members will now ask you some additional questions related to those matters. We will try to keep our questions short and to the point. We ask that your answers be short and to the point as well. Vice Chair Beevil will begin the questions. We will, and I should add, we will start by addressing matters that are to be discussed in public session, and then we will move into closed session to take up those matters for which we allowed your request that the hearing be closed. Mr. Beevil?
Bună ziua, doamnă Ioniță.
Hello, Madam Ioniță.
Notificarea pentru ședință ați primit o
You
serie de dubii
in your hearing notice, you received several doubts that we want to discuss.
Majoritatea se referă,
Most of them,
la chestiuni de
all of them basically, refer to financial integrity matters. I will start with year 2015, when you concluded an investment contract for an apartment on Drumul Viilor Street. Also, you paid the first installment of 414,551 lei. In the first round of questions, you declared that in order to pay this installment, you took 3 loans, 6,000 euros from a former colleague, 3,000 euros from your sister-in-law, and 4,000 euros from a close friend who was your children's godfather. Please clarify. The first installment for this apartment was fully covered from these loans, together with your savings of 140,000 lei identified at the beginning of year 2014. I will be brief. Until 2015, I confirm I made some savings, and together with the loans mentioned by you, represented an amount used to pay the first installment for the apartment on Drumul Viilor Street. At the same time, you owned an apartment on Calea Ieșilor Street. My question is, what was your rationale and motivation to buy a new apartment and take over these obligations, debts, installments, taking into account that you already had an apartment on Calea Ieșilor Street?
Deci, această motivație, de fapt, am expus-o și în
I explained my motivation
răspunsuri care au
in
fost acordate de mine,
the rounds of questions
dar
sent to me
reiterez situația că
and in the answers provided by
deci în
me.
anul
I'd like to
2014
clarify.
eu
In
am divorțat
2014,
pe soțul meu
I got divorced,
și ulterior am avut intenția să
and
ne
subsequently,
separăm.
we have the intention
Prin
to
hotărârea
live
judecătorească,
separately.
copiii noștri comuni au
By
fost
court
stabiliți,
decision.
cu mine.
The child custody was given
Și
to me.
noi cumva amiabil am
And
decis
in
să expunem
an
locuința din Calea
amicable
Ieșilor
way, we
la
decided
vânzare,
to sell
în
the
felul în care
apartment on Calea
fiecare
Ieșilor
să-și
Street,
poată obține
so
dobândi
that
o locuință separată.
each of us can have a separate
Anume,
apartment.
din motivul că rata pentru
The reason
apartamentul
was
din drumul viilor
the,
a fost achitată.
so the first installment for the Drumul Viilor street apartment was very important for me. It was important to have a source of income, of money, to pay back the first installment for that apartment on Drumul Viilor Street. This is why we made this joint decision to sell the apartment on Calea Ieșilor Street.
Puteți să vorbiți un pic mai departe de microfon?
Could you please
Apare un...
not speak so closely to the mic? Thank you.
Comisia a acceptat că suma
The
reală sau
commission,
prețul real pe care a fost
the commission
plătit
accepted
pentru
that
vânzarea
the
apartamentului
real
din Calea Ieșilor
price for the Calea Ieșilor apartment was
pe care ați încasat-o dumneavoastră, de 27.000 de euro.
27,000 euros.
Asta
Să intervin cu o corectare.
I'd like to rectify something here. The apartment on Calea Ieșilor was not 27,000 euros. It was 44,000. Please wait for me to finish my sentence. Yes, it was 44,000 euros, 27,000 euros your share, and 17,000 euros
această sumă este
your husband's
diferită de prețul
share.
oficial declarat din
This
contract.
is a different amount from the one declared in the contract. I understand that in the contract you declared the cadastral value of the apartment. Yes, right. Could you please tell us what you spend this amount of money on, these 27,000 euros, and if this amount was used to pay to pay back the loans, or you used it for other expenditures as well. First of all, these 27,000 euros, in my opinion, was used for a list of priorities.
Și corespunzător cap de listă a fost întoarcerea
The first priority was
împrumuturilor.
paying back the loans.
Împrumutul care eu l-am obținut de 6.000
The loan
de euro,
of
de
6,000
fapt, a
euros
fost
that I
prioritar,
received
pentru că atunci
was
când l-am
actually a
solicitat,
priority because when I
eu,
requested it,
cumva am raportat durata pentru care sau termenul pentru care am solicitat acest împrumut.
there was also
am
a
raportat,
deadline.
Vinderii apartamentului din Calea Ieșului.
And I said that once I sell the apartment on Calea Ieșilor Street, I will pay back the loan. So I paid that loan first. It was a priority for me. After that, there were expenses for the repair works of the new apartment on Drumul Viilor Street.
Am mai achitat și alte împrumuturi.
I also paid parts of the other two loans, but the other two loans I paid back in installments. And I made sure that I pay back parts of the other two loans using these 27,000 euros. And about these three loans, you paid them back all until the end of 2017, right?
Împrumuturile despre care am discutat mai devreme
2016.
nu au fost restituite până la sfârșitul anului 2016. Ori apartamentul din Calea
The
Ieșilor
apartment
a fost înstrăinat în
on Calea
octombrie
Ieșilor
2016.
Street was sold in October 2016, and by the end of 2016 I paid back only the loan of 6,000 euros.
Și un împrumut care l-am luat de la cumnata mea,
And
dar
the
el a
loan
fost
took from
stins
my
în rate. și până la
sister-in-law
sfârșitul
was paid
2016
back in
am
installments, and by the end of
dacă reușesc,
2016,
am
I paid
restituit
back
1500.
1,500 euros, if I remember correctly.
Și când ați restituit împrumutul de 4.000?
And what about for the 4,000 euros loan? How much did you cover from this loan?
Deci,
And
aceste
when did you pay it
4.000,
back?
nu
The
mi-amintesc acum
loan from your
exact,
friend. I don't
perioadele
remember
în care am achitat
exactly
tranșele, dar dacă nu greșesc,
when
ultima
the
tranșă
installments
acestui
were
împrumut
made, but
am
the last
prins în
installment
2019.
paid back was in 2019.
Mă scuzați.
Please don't speak too closely into the mic.
Ok. Așa. Și înțelegem că din declarațiile
We understand from your declarations that even though you paid back a part of the loans, at the end of 2016 you had savings of 180,000 lei.
Nu mi-amintesc, dar dacă am menționat
I don't
asta
remember,
la
but
rundele
if
de
I
răspunsuri, cred că
provided this
posibil
answer in the rounds
la
of
sfârșitul
questions,
anului
then it's possible, yes,
2016,
that at the end of 2016 I had this savings.
posibil.
Yes, it's possible.
Așa. Doar o scurt clarificare.
A
Împrumutul de
brief
4.000 de
clarification.
euro
The
la
4,000
domnul
loan from Mr.
Um,
Cararuș.
a fost, adineauri ați declarat că a fost restituit
You
în
previously
tranșe,
mentioned that it was
și
paid back
ultima
in
în
installments,
2019,
and the last one
da? În
was
2019 a
made
fost închis
in
integral.
2019, and you covered all the
O întrebare
loan
legată de toate împrumuturile.
in 2019. A
Ele
question
erau
about
câte
all
gratuit
3
sau
loans.
erau două dobândă?
Was there
Categoric nu. Asta am menționat și în rundele de răspunsuri.
did you have to pay some dividends
Dacă
as
e
well?
să iau punctual în raport cu fiecare împrumut, deci din declarația
Did
care
you
am
have to pay
prezentat-o
interest?
anexată
Well,
la actele prezentate comisiei,
if you look at the documents
completat
sent
de
to the
cumnata mea,
commission,
deci s-a
they were
confirmat,
filled in by
dumneavoastră
my
a
sister-in-law
confirmat
as well,
aceste
and my
circumstanțe
sister-in-law
că
confirmed
suntem în
my
relații
circumstances.
prietenești
She
și am
confirmed
tratat
that
acest
we
împrumut
have
fără
good
că
relationships
rată.
and there was
De
no
dobândă
interest
nu am eliberat
with regard to the loan
careva
provided by
recipizi.
her. I don't have
Totodată,
any receipts in
prin
this regard.
declarațiile
Nonetheless, at the same
prezentate,
time,
comisiei, deci
in the declarations presented to the commission,
domnul care mi-a acordat împrumutul de 4.000 de euro,
the man who provided me the loan of 4,000 euros had given me this loan without any receipt, without any interest, because we had a good relationship. The same conditions are valid for the 6,000 euros loan.
În anul 2018,
In
Comisia a
2018,
identificat un sold
the
negativ de
Commission
13.000
identified a negative balance of
euro,
113,000
lei, scuzați,
lei
între veniturile și cheltuielile noastre.
between your income.
Sursele
expenses.
oficiale de venit identificate au
The
provenit de
identified
la
official income sources
funcția de cadru de
originated
date
from
la USEM,
your
și activitatea de
activity
avocat
at
în
the
cadrul
university
cabinetului
and
avocatului nostru,
your
Diana
work
Ioniță,
at
și
a
Centrul
law
Național de Formare
law firm
a
and from
Asistenți
the
și Consiliere.
National Center
Ați avut și
Training
alte
Center
surse de
for
venit care nu
Legal
sunt menționate în
Counseling.
răspunsul Comisiei pentru anul
Did you
2018.
have any other income sources for that year that you did not mention to the Commission? No, I did not have any other sources of income. But I wanted to add something to this information about this amount and other amounts mentioned for other years in the notification, in the hearing notice. Perhaps these amounts,
at least this is my impression,
are included in the documents or are related to the documents regarding my daughter who worked abroad and studied abroad. The salary she received abroad was something that meant that I contributed less to her life abroad, to her studies abroad. We had transparent communication, and if she received a higher salary, because she also worked while studying, she would call me and tell me that that month I can transfer her smaller amount of money. I was under the impression that the Commission did not take into account these documents and these explanations, or did not analyze them sufficiently. This is why I believe it would be correct for the calculation formula to also take into account these circumstances.
Which is again is valuable equally for all the years. Are the calculation based on your assumption and the expenses that you made? You mentioned that you have shortened them up to 96,000 lei annually for your daughter specifically, and we understand that the amount was not 96,000 because there is another amount in question. That is most probably right. I would like to reiterate the fact, because I have mentioned in the previous rounds of questions, when I have completed the first questionnaire, the ethics questionnaire, in fact, I operated, and I don't think that I would be able today to operate with other figures, more precise data. I use some approximate data, because the expenses for my daughter, for the oldest daughter during her tuition, would be about 96,000 lei per year. Hence, I insisted on this amount for each year. However, this is a general rule, and out of this estimation, I think there are some specifics related to it. Those 96,000 lei are actually expenses for the expenses, daily expenses of your life abroad. And I wasn't the only one contributing to these expenses, so the materials provided to the Commission, I remarked very clearly that I made some transfers periodically in order to supplement your bank account. Eventually, based on these transfers, it's very obvious that they vary. We are not talking about the same amount of money each month. Sometimes the amount was higher, sometimes the amount was lower. So each transfer was dependent on some supplements from other sources. Also, in the rounds of question, I pointed out that the father of the child also contributed to her tuition abroad, providing some amounts of money periodically, and this is how we made those supplements over time. Therefore, I have also presented to the Commission some documents, because you understand that not all the transfers or not all communications with the people who might have contributed to the tuition have been documented properly. I tried to present to the Commission some excerpts or bank statements that do confirm that the transfers for my daughter living abroad have been realized or supported by other people, like her aunt or my sisters-in-law, for example, when I had that loan of 3,000 euro from my sister-in-law. At the same time, I have presented some snapshots from my communications with various people. Okay, let's sort this out in order to. You have operated with approximation when you said the annual cost was 96,000 euros for the tuition of your daughter. Later on, you declared that other people also contributed to her tuition, and you also might have contributed to a lesser extent than previously thought. Therefore, so initially you approximated 96,000, but the real amount was a little bit lower. So my question is how those contributions took place, exclusively by bank transfers or also in cash? The contributions for my daughter were happening actually on a monthly basis by supplementing a bank account or credit card account. The cash contributions only occurred when she returned back home during her vacations. Well, the Commission actually double-checked the bank transfer, and we can quantify them. However, we are not able to quantify those amounts in cash. Could you please approximate what was the quantum of which was given in cash during your tuition years? For example, let's say on a yearly basis. Let's say, for example, for the year 2018. So, from my side, I provided up to 300 euro in cash when she returned home. How many times did she get home per year? 2? I think 2 times per year. If that coincided with the vacations or holidays, like Christmas holidays, some of our relatives coming from abroad also were present, and they also were willing to contribute with some cash in this respect. Thank you for your answer. Okay, now let's discuss about 2022. Based on the information accumulated by the Commission, we have identified a deficit of 113,000 lei between income and expenses. And my question is, besides the salary, the income you received from selling your car in your declarations, were there any other incomes which were not transparent or which were not provided to the Commission? Are you talking about 2022? That's correct. No? I do understand that the Commission took into account my salary, which I received in my position, and that's all. How did you acquire? From what sources did you acquire the car Peugeot 308, considering that there is this negative balance? So this specific car has been acquired mainly based on savings made following which were from the saving received after I sold my apartment, actually. It was sold in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, in January. And you had those savings. I actually placed all those savings in a bank account. However, taking into consideration the events from February 2022, I got alarmed, being fearful that I won't be able to get my Bani bank from that bank, and I received those. I withdrew actually that amount of money from the bank. In the declaration submitted to the Commission, have you included those amounts? I'm talking about the savings in cash at the end of 2021. In my dialogue with Commission, I understood that those needed to be mentioned in my declaration with regards to savings. However, taking into account that they were placed in some bank accounts as deposits, I mentioned them in that specific column. And therefore, I think it is my omission. It's an omission on my part, but at the same time, I cannot be blamed for not declaring that. I have not blamed you for that. Don't worry. Okay, now let's discuss about the office from Dokuchaev Street. The Commission asked you some questions with regard to the increase of capital with regard to this office on Dokuchaev Street. You received that office by donation from your father in 27. Later on, you sold it for 28,000 euro in November 2021. In your response, you noted the taxes for capital gain that was not paid because you actually provided information to tax service on the value of the office when you received that donation. So there is a simple calculation that shows, well, actually you said that you lost some capital, which was due to the exchange rate. That at the donation, the apartment had a price of 62,000 lei, 620,000 lei, and the Taskal service actually issued you a certificate that you don't have any debts to them, which is dated with the year 2024. 23 May 2024. Well, you sold your apartment in 2021. That means that a declaration with capital gain had to be filed up to 2022. The certificate issued from Lara agency has been obtained on 23 May 2024 when you received the first round of questions. And the questions with regards to capital gain, the document issued by Lara is not an evaluation report as it is foreseen by the Order 140 of the Minister of Finance. It's actually just a letter. It's a certificate, a simple certificate. The request that you lodged with the tax service, you submitted that together with a letter from Lara agency, and actually we have a couple of questions in order to clarify. First of all, whether or not the tax service has accepted this sort of evaluation as a valid basis to attest the lack of capital gain. I will actually provide answer after each question. I would like to correct something. You actually omitted something. This capital loss is not based on the exchange rate. It is due to the cost difference of this office at the moment when I obtained this donation and at the stage when I had sold this office. So, with regards to the period when I tried actually to clear my relationship with the tax service, and it happened in 2024, not necessarily when I sold this office. Well, being totally honest, I didn't even imagine that I had to pay some duties following the alienating this apartment. I was aware that the donations are not being taxed. Later on, I documented myself with these subjects and found out that I need to pay some taxes, additional tax. So I received a notification from the Commission in 2024, and to me, there were some vulnerable aspects with regard to tax issues, and I had to make sure that I don't have any debts to the tax service. And I was surprised that the tax inspector mentioned the capital gain to me following selling of that apartment or office. I was perplexed, in fact, but at the same time, the tax inspector explained that provided you provide some evidence with regard to the commercial price of this office during the donation, then very objectively we can calculate whether or not there was a capital gain. The tax office is in downtown, and the Lara agency was very near to this tax service, and therefore I have asked information about commercial price when I have obtained this donation, meaning in 27. I do understand that it might be more useful to have an evaluation report instead of this certificate provided by Lara agency. However, when I have obtained this specific asset, I based my decisions on the legislation in question at that time, and the set of documents requested by the notary in 2007, when I have obtained this donation, was focused only on the cadastral price, on this certificate, and the evidence that I don't have any debts with regard to taxes regarding this office, and the IDs of the people involved in this transaction. Nowadays, I do understand that by the order of the Minister of Finance, we need to provide an additional document, an evaluation report. It's a regulatory act from 2018, and I don't think it would be correct to apply this requirement retroactively. Moreover, at this stage, I think it would be impossible to make an assessment of this asset very objectively, because from 2007 up to today, that office have suffered various technical refurbishments. The destination of this office has been changed. Also, there is a dentistry located in this office nowadays, as far as I know. And I would like to add something here again. and I have presented this certificate from Lara agency. The tax inspector has accepted this certificate. Are you talking about the certificate which is on your laptop in front of you? That's correct. They have accepted this certificate, and following submission of this certificate, I have obtained confirmation that I don't have any debts to tax service. And did they accept that? Did they accept this certificate instead of a evaluation report? That's correct.
When you sold that apartment, there was no evaluation, that office, back in 2021. I personally did not order any evaluation. Perhaps the buyer made an evaluation, but I don't know about this. The buyer took a bank loan to buy that piece of property, so I do not exclude the fact that there could have been an evaluation as a criteria to take that bank loan. Now, let's discuss about your work at IOM. Between 2012 and 2020, you received income from the International Organization for Migration from Moldova, amounting to around 26,000 lei. This was not declared in terms of tax by IOM or you. In the question round, you said that the amount received in your bank account was not taxable, and you mentioned that you consulted with the tax service representatives who have confirmed for you that these amounts were not taxable. Because of the relationship between the International Organization for Migration and the government of the Republic of Moldova. Nonetheless, from the official answers received by the Commission from the State Tax Service, it shows that you are actually owning a tax of 107,460 lei for this income received as a natural person. So the question is the following: what is the reason for providing legal services to IOM as a natural person? Why did you not provide these services as a lawyer through your law firm? I explained this in the answers provided to the rounds of questions. I provided two types of services for this international organization. And if I go into details, I can tell you that as a lawyer, I provided services and the contract was signed with my law firm, the Diana Ioniță law firm. But sometimes I was contracted to work as a lawyer for the beneficiaries of this international organization in different court proceedings, civil cases and criminal cases. And about criminal cases, usually the beneficiaries were defendants. So I would represent different beneficiaries who were defendants in criminal cases. I was contracted based on consultancy contracts to provide other types of services as well, not only as a lawyer, but also as a consultant, as an expert. This international institution was the founder of a crisis cell for victims of different types of crimes. Respectively, I was available to provide services to the employees of that crisis center, crisis cell, in different situations. I was also contracted to participate in different working groups to develop different draft laws that were relevant in that area. Or I was contracted as a trainer for training different categories of specialists working with beneficiaries in the projects of this international organization. Okay, the consultancy services provided. What kind of consultancy was this? Wasn't it legal aid as well, legal advice as well? I cannot tell you that this was legal consultancy, because in the working groups for developing draft laws, when I participated in developing the regulations for that crisis center, when I was a trainer, it was rather related to legal aspects. Yes, indeed, but it was a different type of legal work compared to that provided on behalf of my law firm. Yes, but legal advice is also a service provided by lawyers, by legal professionals. Not only lawyers can provide these services. All those who have a law license can provide these services. Yes, but my question is the following. You had a law firm. You were providing legal services. What was the rationale to provide legal advice not as a law firm, not on behalf of the law firm, but as a natural person? And the trainings, the drafting of the laws is also a sort of legal service. So my question is, this choice to provide the services as a natural person, was this an optimization of your activities in order not to pay that 12% tax? It was 18% tax before 2018. No, to be honest, in formulating the answers to the Commission's questions, I thought of the rationale that perhaps it would have been better to provide all these services on behalf of my law firm and not as a natural person. And I'd like to explain certain details. I accepted the things suggested and proposed to me when I was given a contract. I did not provide suggestions to modify the collaboration formula. Do you say that IOM insisted on these requirements? No, they did not insist, but when they required my services, this was the collaboration that they suggested, this was the contract, and I did not ask a lot of questions. I mentioned these when I answered your questions. If this is perceived as a violation committed by me, I will take responsibility. The contractual clauses expressly stipulated that tax obligations were the responsibility of the contractor. So I don't want to say here that I was a victim of certain circumstances. Knowing now what you know now, do you admit that those amounts were taxable? If I look in detail, yes, I reached this conclusion. If I had the opportunity to proceed differently, I would have done it. But it is what it is. When I answered the questions, perhaps I realized this as a lawyer, but I always reiterated that if there was an omission or a violation, it's imputable to me and I accept my fault. And before coming to the interview, to this hearing, I was thinking that perhaps I should start covering this debt or this tax. But I was under the impression that it would be desperate try to cover my tracks, so to speak. I can do this after the hearing as well. I went to the tax service and I established when I'll go and pay the taxes and make a declaration there. And you'll pay the taxes for the entire period of time or only for the period after the evaluation. I want to tell you that for the evaluation period, I'll try to pay it in installments. I declare that I will pay it in installments. I hope that the tax service will accept such a solution. We exhausted the questions. I don't know whether other colleagues have questions to the aspects that can be discussed in the public session. Yes, please. Madam Ioniță, two clarification questions about the tuition fee of around 96,000 lei. Could you please explain what it consists of, this annual fee? Is this the payment for food, rent, or only tuition? And what was the share of each part of this amount? This is actually a general amount. It's a generic term. My daughter studied in France. So back then, in 2017, education in France was free of charge. So this term, tuition fee, actually represent the costs incurred by my daughter for living there and studying there. She needed money to rent an apartment. She needed to pay rent, to pay the bills, to buy groceries, and some clothing sometimes, and for other daily needs. At the same time, I want to say that when I mentioned this amount, I took into account the term costs. The costs for my child to live abroad and study there was approximately 96,000 lei annually. But I want for the Commission to consider the fact that this cost was not incurred exclusively by me. I mentioned in my answers to the rounds of questions. That this amount, but perhaps I did not mention the contribution of other people, and because I'm the sole subject of this evaluation, I decided to include this amount and provide further explanations throughout the process. Could you please tell us approximately how much was the rent monthly? Back then, if I'm not wrong, rent was around 400 euros, 400 and something euros monthly. Yes, monthly. But my daughter had a roommate and they shared the rent cost. She got integrated better in the student community, and after that she got a room in a dormitory. And did you have costs for the dormitory? Yes, but it was not that expensive. The second question is about the capital gain. You said that you went to the state tax service regarding the sale of that real estate. Usually when a natural person comes to the state tax service and presents new information on certain incomes, tax inspectors force these people to submit a new income declaration for that year. You sold this property in 2021. Did you submit a rectified declaration for 2021? I said that all the documents have been submitted in 2024. I'm surprised by myself, actually. After this communication with the Vetting Commission, I went by myself to the tax service regarding this capital gain tax. I was surprised to discover that there was a problem. Okay, but did the tax inspector force you to submit a new tax declaration, a new income declaration for 2021, an updated one? I cannot tell you for certain. I cannot tell you for sure. When I left the tax service, the lady there, the official told me there that I had no any other debts, but I don't remember if I submitted that updated declaration. But you presented the sale purchase agreement to the tax inspector, yes? Yes, I submitted all the documents to the tax inspector. Thank you.
Madam Ioniță, just one question. You stated twice that the tax administration told you that you didn't have any tax debts. Do you have any written proof of that?
Yes, I presented the written evidence to the Commission after I looked at the evaluation materials of the Commission.
Thank you.
Ms. Ioniță, we're going to now go into closed session to discuss some of those matters that do involve the topics we agreed would be treated in closed session. So I'll ask that those present in the room, other than the interpreters and those involved in the recording of the video, please leave. And at the end of our questioning in closed session, we'll come back into open session to allow you to make a public statement if you wish and to conclude the hearing. Okay, so we will now go back into public session in order to conclude the hearing. And In that respect, Ms. Ioniță, would you like to make a brief concluding statement? Is there anything else that you would like to tell us before we wrap things up?
Nu am pregătit careva mesaj în mod special, dar cred că ar fi corect să finalizăm acest dialog cu un mesaj de mulțumire din partea mea, pentru că undeva am stat să analizez și am înțeles că verificarea mea în raport cu alți contracandidați a fost mai dificilă și probabil mai vastă, pentru că perioada supusă verificării a presupus pentru mine niște aspecte de turbulență, atât în viața profesională cât și personală, și asta a presupus mai multe acte, mai multe persoane implicate. Eu, cel puțin, am rămas surprinsă de volumul de materiale acumulate atunci când am luat cunoștință de ele. Deci, acest exercițiu și pe mine m-a făcut cumva să mă simt că călătoresc prin mașina timpului. M-am mobilizat, sinceră să fiu, iertată să-mi fie sinceritatea, dar de fiecare dată când primeam o rundă de întrebări, citeam aceste întrebări și ziceam că gata, renunț, nu mai avansez. De fiecare dată, fiecare rundă o deschideam cu frică și dacă e să mă întrebați cum am ajuns eu aici, eu nu știu să răspund la această întrebare. Nu știu, probabil că pas cu pas, nu știu, n-am nicio explicație cum am ajuns. De asta înțeleg că ați depus un efort pentru a mă verifica și perioada a fost îndelungată. Eu vă mulțumesc din suflet. Nu știu dacă sunt...
Excuse me, I don't have any...
Can you hear me now? And not to retain your attention, I would like to wish you great luck going forward. I think that you'll select the best candidates with me or without me. It doesn't matter. What matters is the final result. Lots of luck. Thank you.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's hearing. Ms. Ioniță, thank you for your answers to today's questions and the information you previously provided to the Commission. After the hearing, the Commission will approve an evaluation report stating its conclusion whether the subject meets the criteria for ethical and financial integrity under Law Number 65. The Commission will try to complete its report and announce its conclusion as soon as possible. We generally try to do so within a month after a subject's public hearing. This hearing is now closed and is now concluded, and the Commission will recess until its next scheduled hearing. Good day.